Good morning, everybody. I got a package from my Chinese friends, and today we got a thermal camera. But a small one which connects directly to your phone or tablet. And well, we will see how good it actually is. There is one test I want to make because they advertise this camera that it could see traces on a PCB where 1 milliamp of current is flowing through. Of course, current heats up any traces or wires, but 1 milliamp, well, we will see if that is true. And another feature that made me say yes to the request of reviewing this device is it has a manual focus. You can see it here. That's something I have never seen in another thermal camera. So let's unpack it. So what we get is the Thermal Master P3 thermal camera. That's how it looks from the other side. If the gold design here is necessary, can be debated. I have the feeling it looks a little bit cheap, but as much as I can say, it is the opposite of cheap. It is quite a good camera. So I already downloaded the app, and the first thing the app did was to update the firmware of the camera. That worked without any problem. One thing I notice is the camera is very fast. So you can see my hand here. Yeah, it has a little bit of lag, but compared with other cameras, it's really fast. It has a 25 Hertz frame rate. The detector has a resolution of 256 by 192, but somehow they upscale the resolution to 512 by 384, and well, it looks pretty sharp. What I mentioned before is we have a manual focus ring here. Let's see if I can get that. Yes. So you can actually focus your object. This is a small glass full with warm water, which is at the moment 32 degrees Celsius. And another question was, when I reviewed another camera, if you can see wet spots in a building or somewhere with a thermal camera. Yes, look at this. That blue circle there is actually a towel with a wet spot. I dripped some water on it. And you can clearly see the water evaporates, cools the tissue down, and creates that blue spot, which is 21 degrees compared to 24 for the rest of the rack. That's room temperature right now. Yeah, you also can see wet spots. And now let's see if the claim of seeing a 1 milliamp current through a PCB track is true or not. I have an old HP board here, which is defective. I chosen one track that is not connected to anything else. And I measure it with my trusty old Simpson multimeter. Let me power on. So at the moment we are at the 10 milliamp range, about 1 milliamp. So that's the 1 milliamp range. We are not exactly there. Okay, now we have exactly 1 milliamp. Let's see if we can see something. Okay, what's going on? We can see traces, but we can only see the traces because some light or heat is reflecting. That's the trace where our 1 milliamp goes through, and it doesn't seem any brighter or different from all the other traces there. I increased the current to 10 milliamps. You see the resistor is getting warm, but there is no sign of the PCB trace. The resistor wires are getting warm, the solder pad is getting warm, but not so much the traces on the PCB. And here we are at 100 milliamps, and you can see a little bit some of the trace becomes visible, but I think that's more like thermal conduction from the resistor, because that one is really hot right now. I still wonder what kind of PCB they used for testing that and for backing up that claim of 1 milliamp could be visible. I don't know. And here we are on a completely different kind of PCB, and the current is now 500 milliamps, and we can see there is a track a little bit warmer than the other ones. By the way, I cooled down the entire PCB, that's why everything else is blue. Yeah, 500 milliamps is visible, yes. And that's how a view through a window looks like. Well, it's like a mirror, you can't look through, at least with a thermal camera. But when you open the window, you can see a lot, and I must say the image is not too bad here. But even if that claim with 1 milliamp traces can be visible is not true, well, I don't know what traces they used for testing. Maybe it's just a marketing claim. However, the application, the app here is not bad. You, for example, can set points on your screen. You can set up to 2 points where the temperature is displayed here. You can also draw a line, which gives you then an average temperature across this line. You can do a rectangle if you are interested in a certain position on your screen here. And of course, a circle. Can we move that circle? No. And of course, there are all kinds of different color scales here. The usual stuff. Okay, I think that was it for today. Thanks for watching.